Welcome back, YouTube. Thanks for coming and checking out the Fat Guy Builds. Today we're here with a Jeep. I know there should not be Jeeps on my channel, but there's a Jeep. We're doing a Blue Ox base plate for towing this behind a camper, and I'm going to show you all the instructions step by step. So one of the options that I'm going to do that the instructions don't tell you to do is I'm going to lift the car up, take the tires off. That way I can get my power tools in to do these screws. If you want to do them by hand, have fun, do it yourself in the corner here, and I'll show you what it looks like, but I'm taking the tires off. You're going to need to pop your hood because we're going to have to get to a bunch of these different clips and things everywhere. So on the wheel well, you have an 8mm here. Pop those out on both sides. And then we're going to have one under here, which I'm going to show you when I get there. So to get to back here, you're going to pull like so. And now you can see the bolt right here. You're going to use a 10mm ratchet here. Pull this bolt on both sides. That disconnects the fender from the bumper. Take these clips out, all these plastic clips, the centers pull out, and then you can pop out the bottom half. So you got one here, 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 and then all the way across the front, and then the ones here. And then you have two in the middle here by the latch. Don't forget those, and then pull this whole plastic piece out of here. Now that you have this front piece off, use a 10mm, and you're going to remove this one, and then there's one on the back that connects the corner of the fender to the bumper here. So we're going to pull these three out on both sides. You're going to use a 13mm now on the skid plate under the car. You're going to take these front three all the way out. And then the back ones here, you're just going to loosen. And that will allow this skid plate to just come down in the front. That way we can get to all of these screws here with the washers across the front. Next step, see how this is tilted down so we can get in here? Next step, every one of these with the washer, you're going to pull out. The ones without the washer, leave it alone. Pull it out. Leave it alone. Pull it out. Leave it alone. Pull it out. There's one more screw hiding in the corner right here. Another 10mm. Take it out. We also have one 10mm bolt down here that we need to remove. So here's a perspective. You come in and you go straight down. Now we're going to take the bumper off. There's just clips here, clips across. You're going to lift up a little bit and pull, and then you're going to work it all the way around the front. So the bumper is attached by all the wiring on the driver's side. You're going to need a panel popper. Pop the harness from this bracket here, and then you're just going to press the clip here and wiggle it off, and it'll come apart. Use two hands, it'll come apart easier. Now you're going to use a 16mm. You're going to pull off these two bolts here. And on the other side, same thing, these two bolts, 16mm. On the back side where the hook is, you got this huge 30mm garbage. You're going to have to pull this off. You might have to go to the store and buy a wrench. You might have to go to the store and buy a socket. Yeah, just pull it off. All right, now we're going to take this thing off, throw it in the trash. You got 15mm, 15mm, 15mm. Tiny baby 10mm. Take all that off and then just throw this in the trash. Here's a new one, pretty much in place. It's also going to reuse these two factory bolts here for the main bumper, but it has a lip here. So we're going to take a flappy grinding disc. 60 grit is what I suggest you buy. 60 grit will just eat this away quick. And then you just put these bolts back in, but right now I'm gonna pop these bolts out, take a 60 grit flapper, flap this all down, and then we'll be ready to install. Use a 15mm socket. You're gonna remove these 2 bolts on the underside of the bumper on both sides. So this is what you want it to look like. I test fit the plate, fits perfect. This area you want it to be flush here. Don't go too crazy, it just needs to be flush. And so yeah, now we'll put the bolts, all the bolts in loose. And I'll let you see what that looks like, and then we'll torque everything down. So the factory bolts that were on top here, too short now. So the hardware comes with these ones here. You're gonna put a lock washer, flat washer, and then you're just gonna put them in the factory bolt holes. All right. Now, you're gonna put this one in just to line up the hole. Then the center one, the center bolt hole on this thing, it's gonna go here. You're just gonna put some Loctite on here, just a little bit. So yeah, you're gonna use a little bit of Loctite, and then you're gonna tighten this down. Just make it guten tight. That's German for really tight. And you're all good. All right, when you're putting this in, I found out it's a big pain in the ass because their holes are not perfect. Probably because this is not one single piece, so the router doesn't cut this out accurately, and the guy who's welding it, I don't want to talk about it, but anyways, it fits. But what you want to do is leave these just lined up but loose, like that. You're gonna push up here, and you're gonna get these top 2 threaded in first, okay? Along with this one keeps the front lined up. And then now that those 2 are in, we're gonna start these 3 towards the bottom. And then we're gonna run everything down to where it's almost touching, and then we'll get down to torquing it. All right, so we have 4 different sockets, 15, 17, 16, and a 19. And we're gonna torque all this down to 50 foot-pounds. And then we can start putting the front end back together. But 50 foot-pounds all the way around should be great. Don't forget to do it on both sides, and just double check 2 times. You don't want a bolt flying off while you're towing. Now that everything's torqued down, we gotta put the safety clip in. So you feed it over the bumper and down around, and then you're gonna feed both of these through the C-clip and then tighten down the C-clip. After you do that, it'll look like this because the C-clip goes through the metal on this thing. And then you just use a big goofy zip tie so it doesn't flop around, I guess. You're gonna have to come in here and you're gonna have to shave this area here to where there's no lip sticking out, and up here, otherwise it won't clear the material on the BS I just installed. Now that you have the safety cables on and everything's torqued down, just reverse the steps you did that I showed you to take it apart. Do it in the opposite order. Play my video in reverse, whatever. And put everything back together.